February 1st, 2016, June 14th, 2016, November 8th, 2016. These are the days in which I, and I'm sure others, experienced defeat. At the conclusion of each defeat, I was faced with a choice. Do I quit fighting, become apathetic, or do I keep going and continue on? February 1st, 2016 was the Iowa caucus, and I was the precinct captain for my candidate. Prior to the caucus, I was extremely involved with the campaign, from calling on voters to assisting in town hall events. I was able to form a personal connection with the campaign and the movement. On the days leading up to the caucus, I could feel the momentum building. I remember talking to my wife and telling her I actually believed that we might be able to win, not just our precinct and not just the state, but the entire election. Finally, the caucus day came, and as our fellow neighbors and community members funneled in, it became very clear to me what the results were going to be, and we were going to fall short. This was the theme for the rest of the night in the precincts around the state, and I was devastated. I felt like such a failure because I was so personally connected. In the days that followed, I knew I had to make a decision. Do I quit? Do I cut my losses and stop? Or do I keep fighting? I chose the latter, not because I felt obligated or because I was pressured into it, but because the beliefs of this campaign and this candidate were my beliefs. I knew that there were 49 other states, and I had to keep working for what I believed in. So in the weeks and months to follow, I called voters in other states and tried to help in any way possible. June 14th, 2016. This was the last day of the primaries and caucuses, and solidified what I had been anticipating in the weeks leading up to it. Once again, we were defeated, and it felt like our favorite uncle and all of his beliefs and values were dying with him. I was forced with the decision again. Do I quit or do I continue on? I knew if I'd stopped now, everything that I'd done previously, all the late nights, all the meetings, all the phone calls, would have been for nothing. So once again, I decided to keep fighting and working, and I sent my cousin to the National Convention as a delegate, where he fought for one of the most progressive Democratic platforms in U.S. history. I also turned my focus to local elections, where I helped local candidates through the Dallas County Democratic Central Committee. November 8th, 2016, Election Day. I have to admit, I saw the possibility of losing as just that, but I never really thought it would actually happen. I, along with over half the country, was ultimately blindsided that night. I watched the election results surrounded by like-minded friends, and halfway through the night, things took a turn for the worst. I could sense what was to come, and it felt like watching a car crash in very slow motion. So I started to cycle through the stages of grief, shock, anger, denial, etc. And I moved quickly through them over and over and over again. And I found myself asking, is this it? Is this all the states? Surely there has to be more states, right? Right? And when I turned my attention from the national election to the local ones, the results were equally as sad and disappointing. All my effort, the work, the momentum was halted on that very night. So for the third time in 1 year, I was forced to ask myself, should I keep fighting? I started to reflect on what drew me to this work in the first place, that is, my political engagement. And I wasn't just fighting for a candidate. I was fighting for my beliefs and my values. And I wasn't just a member of a campaign, I was a member of a movement. And movements don't end at elections. So after taking time to finish my stages of grief, I chose to keep fighting. I became involved with shaping the platform for the Dallas County Democratic Party. I attended the Women's March on the Capitol with over 26,000 other individuals. And recently, I became involved with our legislative action group in this congregation. So, what have I learned through all this? And what is the takeaway that I can give you? It's easier and more attractive to quit during times of defeat. But true lasting change does not happen overnight, and definitely not in times of idleness. It can only occur when ordinary people move their feet, their hands, and their voices. The strength to continue will be there when you look around and realize that you are not alone. Thank you.